Greeting for the day, students. Welcome back to the class of Pricing and Product Decisions. I am Dr. Shweta Srivastav, Associate Professor, BPD University. So, in the previous lectures, we have covered the topics cost, types of costs, the concept of relevancy, then decision making, and while we were discussing decision making, I told you that we have to consider two types of decisions, that is strategic and non-financial or intangible decisions. In the previous lecture, we have discussed at length the importance of strategic decision making with the examples of Indian corporate world. So today I am going to discuss with you the role of non-financial or intangible decision making. So first of all, let us understand what are financial factors and what are non-financial factors. See, tangible means which can be touched by a human body, and intangible means which cannot be touched. It can only be felt. It cannot be measured in quantity terms, means it cannot be quantified. So, tangible factors are basically those factors which can be measured in monetary terms, like sales volume, like profit margin, like the value of the assets the company is carrying, like the expenses the company is making on advertising to sale. See, although these quantities can be measured in monetary terms. See, we all know that business understands only one language, that is the language of finance or the language of money. So that is why these are known as tangible factors. See, all of us know that they are critical for decision making. Whenever we are about to take a decision, we generally and often check only one thing, that is financial viability. It means how far the project, or you can say the decision making problem, is profitable for the organization. Is it giving adequate return as compared to the cost or not? This is what is called financial viability. See, the organization is not wrong if it is pursuing, if it is going like this, because we have been professing the philosophy of shareholders' wealth maximization. It means since they have invested money in the organization, they are the owners of the organization, and they have shown confidence on us. So it is our duty to take care of their money. That is what we say, the fiduciary relationship. So every organization strives for one objective, that is maximization of shareholders' wealth. But nowadays we are seeing that there is one thing which is known as intangible factors. These play a very important role in decision making. See, apparently it is felt that they are not important because they cannot be quantified, they cannot be measured in monetary terms. Generally they give an impression, but growing competition, customer awareness, globalization, percolation of technology in all the operations are making the market tough. So, this intangible factor is helpful in developing the cutting edge in this fierce competition. How? We will discuss in the forthcoming lecture. So, the companies are focusing not only on financial factors but also on non-financial or intangible factors. So now let us understand what intangible factors. I'll share with you few examples of intangible factors which are very important for the well-being of an organization. So the first intangible factor which should be taken into consideration while taking a decision is legal compliance. See, when I say legal compliance, it does not mean that we are only abiding by the existing rules and bylaws. It says that we should be working according to the existing bylaws and the bylaws which are going to come in the future. We have to update, we have to gear up operations so that we can be up to the match of forthcoming bylaws. Like pollution, we have certain pollution control norms. So nowadays Euro 4 norms are applicable. So accordingly, the automobile manufacturing companies are changing their engines. Maruti failed in that. That is why we have seen it has been wiped out from the market. I am talking about Maruti 800, right? So when I say legal compliance, it means you have to follow the existing rules as well as the future rules. See, it apparently looks that legal compliance has nothing to do with the well-being, or you can say the profitability of the organization. Now, my question is, what has happened to Chanda Kochhar? What has happened to PNB? What has happened to Yes Bank? See, all of us see the fate. So, the organization should not engage in fraudulent activities. All of us have witnessed the case of Satyam. What Satyam did? The company transacted with its own subsidiary in the name of Metas. It is nothing but the reverse of Satyam. Just to create an artificial scarcity of shares, what it did? It internally traded with its own subsidiary, which is not allowable under Indian Companies Act. So, what happened to the company? The company vanished, right? Why? Because the company has broken the rules of the country. The same thing goes with PNB. The company issued sanctioned a loan of somewhere around 11 crores to the jeweler Nirav Modi without any proper security. So what happened? The question of PNB the existence came into question. The same thing happened with the Videocon. Since we started studying, Chanda Kochhar was our role model as a woman entrepreneur. But now what has happened to her? Only because of one transaction, she has lost all her goodwill in the market, and finally she had to resign from ICICI Bank only because of one transaction. So all these transactions had hampered the image of the company only because of one thing, that they have broken the rules and regulations of the country. See, the next is we have to present our assets at fair value. It means the assets should be measured at fair value. they should not be undervalued or overvalued. See, again what we are doing, we are complying with the new set of regulations, that is IFRS. That is what we are doing. The same rule goes with transfer pricing. We have to go for arm's length pricing, right? See, these rules are new as compared to GAAP. Previously, we were working according to generally accepted accounting principles, but now since the globalization is happening, the companies are striving for harmonization of accounting language, that is financial statements. So instead of having individualized accounting standards, we are now following IFRS and IAS. So what is? That is what I mean by future bylaws, right? So the organization has to comply with not only the existing but also the future rules and regulations of the country, or I should say the globe. So legal compliance has no monetary transaction, but still it is very important in creating a goodwill, in creating an image in the eyes of the investor, the customer, the government, the creditors and all. So the first intangible factor is legal compliance. The company should not involve in fraudulent activities, the company should not evade tax. So these all things go with legal compliance. Next intangible factor is employee satisfaction. Employee satisfaction. See, we all have seen the growth in the you can say the terminology which we are using for human resource. Previously it was known as personnel, but the companies understood that without this human capital, without this human resource, without this manpower, I should say, we cannot survive. That is why the term has been changed from personnel to human resource. Now see, this is the time of automation, this is the time of artificial intelligence, this is the time of technology. It is the technology which is a driving force. So everybody is a knowledge worker. So human resource has become the human capital. So every organization who has a satisfied employee will have a different kind of ecosystem where you will feel employee commitment. The employee will be motivated, the employee morale will be high. What will happen? The ultimate productivity of the organization will increase immensely. So employee satisfaction you cannot measure, you cannot quantify, but still it is very important for the well-being of an organization. So I should share some examples. So, like I mean to say, if you want to have a satisfied employee, you should invest in training and development. You should give them proper growth opportunity. You should always empathize with your employee. He is the part of your organization, right? So, these all things do not involve any. You cannot be measured. You cannot measure the impact of training and development. You cannot measure what type of growth opportunities. But if you are rendering these things to your employee, if you are actually treating your employee as a human capital, you will feel that the productivity or the efficiency of the organization rises. So I am citing few examples. The IT companies. See, all of us have seen the office of Google, right? So everybody has a dream of working in Google. Even you see that sector, technology, Google is driven by creativity, right? So when you can create newer and newer things, when you are mentally free, mentally and emotionally free, and all types of such facilities are given by Google. That is why it is the topmost IT company. You can even take your pet to the office I think this is the height. So that is why the persons who are working in Google, they see the company rarely suffers from employee turnover, right? So I gave you example of Google. In Indian context, it is Infosys, right? Similarly, it is always felt that finance companies are not good when it comes to human resource, but Bajaj Finance is an exception. It is giving proper growth opportunities to its employees, like auto promotion, right? See, I don't know how many of you have visited Barbecue Nation. See, it is into hospitality industry. See, they are following the punchline, Padharo Maro Desh. See, this punchline doesn't mean, see, they are not only inviting the customer. See, it is always said that charity begins from home, right? Charity begins from home. So, when they are saying Padharo Mare Desh, they are not only inviting the customer, they are also inviting the diverse human resource, right? So, they see, if you talk to the employees of Barbecue Nation, they always say that they have a family-like feeling. See, I have visited so many times to Barbecue Nation, and the type of atmosphere, the type of coziness, the type of warmth which I feel there, it's remarkable. And the credit goes not to the owner, but to the employees of that organization. The way they treat us, the way they share with us, that is commendable. So that the credit goes to the ecosystem in which they are working, right? So the next example is, the next example again is Hayat Consultancy India Private Limited. See, this organization has means also recognize the importance of human capital. See, they say in their mission statement to care for people so that they can be at their best. So what do they mean to say? See, they are again into hospitality industry. They are not talking about their customers. As I said, charity begins from home. So when they say to care for people so that they can be at their best, means they are talking about firstly their employees. So they are giving proper opportunities. They are giving a human-like treatment to their employees so that they can excel in their work field. That is what is known, that is what is happening in Hayat Consultancy Private Limited. So these examples show that if you are taking your employee as a capital, it means you are retaining your employee. You are not only reducing the training cost, but you are also improving the efficiency of the existing staff, because turnover is very harmful for the health of the organization. A dedicated and motivated employee is what an organization needs. So that is the second intangible factor. Now, third is customer satisfaction. Again, you cannot measure satisfaction in monetary terms. But see, all of us know that customer is king. So we have to satisfy him by any means, right? So if you have a satisfied customer, what will you have? What will you have? You will have brand loyalty. And this brand loyalty will lead to repeat purchase. Not only repeat purchase, but referral purchase too, which will happen because of word of mouth publicity. See, when Hyundai came into India, it faced a tough competition from Maruti. All of us have a very strong image about Maruti and its service. Customer service, you can say after sales service. But Hyundai nowadays is topmost when it comes to customer service. Maruti has a monopoly over economy segment cars, but it is broken by which company? Hyundai, Eon, right? So it is the retention of the customer or the satisfaction of the customer which has helped the organization to beat the customer. The same thing goes with Amazon. You see how they are working in the e-commerce environment. See the type of policies, the type of security gateways. See, all of us have bought some or the other thing from Amazon. Next is Tata. See, we all are familiar with this word Tata. When it comes to Tata, an image of longevity, an image of stability, an image of quality automatically comes in the mind. That is what we mean by customer satisfaction. So if you have a satisfied customer, it means you have actually achieved your goals. So this is the third important factor when it comes to intangible decision making. Now coming to the fourth one, that is CSR. It is a much talked about word. Corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, see, I'll be taking in two aspects, right? CSR general and CSR environmental aspect, right? So the environmental aspect in itself is a very big challenge in front of the organization. So that is why I'll be taking up separately. Now, see, corporate social responsibility. See, to have a satisfied customer is not corporate social responsibility. It is because the customer is giving you money, revenue. So that is why you are not doing any corporate social responsibility. Under Indian Companies Act, it is mandatory to invest 2% in your 2% of your net profit in CSR activities. See, but there are some companies which are going beyond that 2%, and that is what actually the Indian customer wants, right? So CSR means when we are not only considering the well-being of your customer only, your stakeholders only, but now you are taking the collective responsibility of the society as a whole. That takes into consideration a common man, that takes into consideration environment, that takes into consideration every small thing, right? So I'm citing one example of Tata Chemicals. See, when the area where the Tata Chemical works, they always working for the deprived community in the name of Beacon, right? Where B stands for blossom. B stands for blossom, right? Blossom means they are promoting the local handicraft. See, when they are working for the deprived community, the ultimate objective is to give them a source of livelihood, to give them a source of, you can say, a source of self-reliance. So blossom means they are promoting the local handicraft. In a way, the company is providing employment opportunities or money in the hands of the deprived community. Enhance. E stands for enhance. So what they are doing, actually they are enhancing the quality of life. Since they are deprived, they are not at par with the common man. So when you are providing livelihood, in fact you are working towards increasing the quality of life. Next is aspire. It means you are providing them proper training opportunities so that if they are not competent enough, they can gain that competency by developing vocational skills. Now this CO is same and N. See, CO stands for conserve. It means they are conserving or nurturing the natural resources. They are not exploiting the natural resources. They are investing in biodiversity. Since they are into chemical industry, they are some or the other way releasing toxins in the environment. But they have a proper sewage treatment plant. They are working for the well-being of the biodiversity. Now next is N is nurture. Nurture means is to provide nourishment. Nourishment to whom? Work towards health care, sanitary solutions, safe drinking water. That is what Tata Chemicals is doing, which is over and above this 2% requirement. That is why we have a very good image of Tata. I have discussed so many times the example of Tata Swachh. This small water purifier was developed, invented to cater the needs of the persons who were suffering from tsunami, right? So when it comes to Tata, this CSR word is actually synonymous with Tata Group. The same thing goes with ITC. See, all of us are familiar with ITC eChaupal. In fact, the companies like ITC have in their mission statement to go with the priorities of nation. So, see, rural development is always a problem child for our country. So, ITC has started eChaupal. See, ITC has diversified into eatables like Ashirwad Atta, Bingo chips. So, the raw material is coming from where? It is coming from rural India. They are into contract farming, right? So, in a way, they are not only providing employment, not only providing, you can say, secured money to the farmers, but they are also working for the well-being of their families. They have created eChaupal. Chaupal is a place where farmers used to sit together in the evening and converse with each other. So, but since they are far from Mandi, they are not conversant about the rate that is particularly operating at that day. But because of this eChaupal, a normal young person was taught internet connectivity, and since it has been regulated that all the mandis should be connected to each other electronically. So these young youth was trained to know what rate was prevailing at that day. So that is how all the farmers are connected to each other, not physically but electronically. In a way, the farmer is getting adequate rate of return on its produce. So that is what ITC did. Over and above that, 2%. The same goes with Infosys. So, see, corporate social responsibility should not be taken as a compulsory investment. You are the part of the country, so you should follow what we call corporate citizenship. That is what we mean by CSR, and that is one of the most important intangible factors when it comes to the assessment of companies. Again, in CSR, I told you that the important is environmental aspect. It means what you are doing for the environment, what environment print you are leaving. So, we all have seen that after this lockdown, the water of our holy river Ganges is now adequate for drinking. How it happened? Because the tanneries are closed. The simple reason. So, the tanneries, they are making money, but are they working towards environment? No. So, do we carry a very good image towards tanneries? No. We know. Please, my simple suggestion is go and visit those tanneries. You will not be able to sustain even one single minute. We all have seen the Taj Mahal is getting grey. So how it is happening? See, you all are younger generation. You must have heard the name of Greta Thunberg. What she is doing? She is a youngest environmentalist. So what provoked her, what instigated her to come up? Environmental protection. So when you are taking so much of resources from the environment, it is a moral obligation to take care of it. So that is again one part of CSR which goes beyond that 2%. So if you are doing something to protect environment, if you are planting trees, if you are having a proper sewage treatment plant, you are not doing any extra work to the country. In fact, you are rendering your duty towards environment where you are breathing, where you are taking water, right? So this is what we mean by CSR. So every company should follow the environment protection norms. There are few more non-financial factors which are known as quality. They can be, you can say, defect rate. They can be cycle time. Cycle time, it means the rate at which your costs are converted into revenue. Every organization has debtor cycle, creditor cycle, operating cycle. So if you are working on those cycles, they cannot be converted into monetary terms. They are generally calculated in rates. So but if you are working on those operating cycles, those you can say you are reducing the cycle time. In a way, what you are doing, you are readily converting your cost into revenue. So these are few of the non-financial factors. So we are left with few more topics in non-financial factors that I will be taking up in the next lecture. So thank you for this time. We'll meet again with the same topic in the next lecture. Thank you.